Hello everybody, I am just getting everything set up. This is a little bit more of an in-depth Facebook Live. So before we get into kind of the nitty-gritty, I'm just going to wait a second. I hopped on a little early just because I wanted to make sure everything was set up exactly at 2 when we're supposed to start. But for any of you guys here ahead of time, I have a question for you. If you are local, if you are in Murfreesboro, Nashville, primarily southern Nashville, that's where we're kind of located and who we serve, but if you're north of Nashville or around the Nashville center, you can answer this too. But how are you guys dealing with the cold weather? We're doing okay. So far, it's not been too much snow. This morning was really cold. My fingers were freezing, my face was freezing as we were putting the animals, or letting the animals out. I just was out there going, oh my gosh, I'm so cold. And I just was thinking about everybody who has to drive to work and, or do schools and drop-offs and pickups and, deal with kind of going out into the cold weather. And I was just curious how everyone was doing with that. Like I said, we're doing okay, but I am a naturally cold person, and the cold hits me pretty hard. I got my heated blanket, so it helps. I'll go out and do animals get freezing, and then I hop inside and snuggle under the warm blanket, the heating blanket. Okay. Hi, and welcome to You and Me Creamery. My name is Delaney Drake, and I am the head farmer here at the creamery. I milk the sheep, and I make the dairy products. Today is a two-parter episode. Two-parter? It's part 2 of a two-parter episode. Might extend to 3, we'll see. But the first was talking about what herd shares are, what the rules and legality is around raw milk in Tennessee, sort of just kind of an overall understanding of what herd shares are. And then today is specifically about what herd share contracts look like, how do you kind of get involved in one, and how every herd share is going to be unique to each farm and why that is, and kind of some of the unique stuff for our herd share, specifically for our dairy sheep dairy farm. And also sort of I don't want to get too much into the legality so that it confuses people, but I do want to cover some of the things that would be in a herd share and some of the things that we have in ours specifically for certain nuances for our family in particular. And so before we get started, I just kind of wanted to kind of do a recap of what the first one was, but very, very short. So herd shares are basically the only way. There's 2 ways to get raw milk in Tennessee. There's labeling the milk as pet food, not for human consumption, which for me gets a little fuzzy on intention. There's just a little bit more of a gray, fuzzy area around that. We do offer that, but it's not our main product. It's not our main way we sell our milk. It's kind of what we do with any leftover milk we have, or sometimes for anyone who wants to take a little test drive of our milk, we will do it. It's mostly for like one-time purchases. I'm someone who is very sensitive to all dairy, and so I completely understand someone who wants to do a one-time purchase just to see how it settles with them, or your animals because it's pet food. But so I understand the one-time purchase, but we really advocate the herd share. It's kind of more of the solid legal way of getting raw milk, and it's also something you will get repeatedly. It's a weekly thing. It's basically like, we're the old time dairy milkmans, milk people, milk women. I don't know what they're called, milkmaids. We're the people who would come up to your door and drop off milk every week, every day. I don't know how frequently that was. But basically, that's what we are. We are the ones who provide our milk. But we have to do it through what's called a herd share, which is you purchase a share of our flock. That way the flock and the milk itself is actually owned by you, and you own a percentage of the flock, and so you get a certain amount of the milk that we milk every day, by week. You pick up by week, but we milk every day. Again, this is the only legal way to get raw milk in Tennessee, aside from the pet food. And so this is why we advocate it. We want people to be recurring customers because we love you guys and we want to get to know you. We want you guys to get to know your farmer, get to know your milk, where it comes from, how we're milking. We really want to establish that connection between food, farmer, and consumer, and eater. So that's why we advocate herd shares, and so that's kind of the background on what it is. For farmers themselves, we have to do a contract. There is some paperwork involved, and I know people go, paperwork, what do you mean? Because I was the same way when I just set it up. I was like, no one's going to want to, sign a contract. That sounds really heavy. And it's not as bad as it sounds. Because the only reason we have a contract is to make it legal. Again, they have all these rules about raw milk, and so we want to make sure that we're protected as the farmer, as a small farm, who's just doing the best they can, and also protect you guys and make sure that we are keeping our end of the bargain of keeping healthy, clean milk. So you guys, your bargain is to do the monthly upkeep fee, to pick up when we on the day and time we agreed, and our part of the contract is to just do what we do best, which is take care of the animals and milk and make it as clean and as easy a process for you guys as possible. So the contract's really just ways for us to kind of be more understanding of each other's sides, and also just make sure we know what's expected of each of us, and that there's no wiggle room or gray area for anything that might come up. And so for us, there's a few pieces of the paperwork. There's like the initial purchase of the herd share. There's the it says it's like an ovine adjuster agreement. And the adjuster is me, and you guys would be the, what do they call it? Owner. You guys are, that's like what in the paperwork, you guys are termed the owner. We are called the adjuster. And so there's like an agreement of how we are going to approach the herd share, costs, boarding fees, some of that. I'll get into some of the details in a minute. And we'll see how long this live takes. I might split it up when we post it later. I'm hoping it doesn't take too long, but I do want to cover some things that I think people would have questions on when going through these the different paperwork. One of the things we have is also called a labor agreement, and that is the way you would get your farm products such as cheese, yogurt, ice cream. I'll get into more details on that, but that's another side of the paperwork. And then there is a thing that we sign specifically for you. Well, we both sign it, but it's basically something that tells you how we are going to keep our farm. It says how we're going to package it. It says how we are going to feed the animals. And so that's kind of more the farm paperwork. Then there's the agreement between the two of us paperwork. Then there's the purchase paperwork. And then there's the labor agreement for any products you'd like. And so I'm not going to get, again, I'm not going to read the legalese for everybody. I'm going to kind of sum up what you guys would be reading. You all will be getting a copy of this, so that we both have a copy of each of us signing it, so that just for our paperwork and make sure that everything is kosher. I'm just going to check my notes because wanted to make sure that we covered everything. Okay. Yeah, we are specifically sheep's milk. So there's nothing too specific about that except for if you ever done cow's milk, the numbers are just going to be a little smaller. Obviously, sheep themselves are smaller animals, so they don't produce as much milk. And so whereas you would get mostly like 1 herd share equals a gallon of like cow's milk, for us, we do 1 herd share is half a gallon of sheep's milk per week. So that's just kind of one of the differences between like cow and sheep and why ours is specific, and that's all detailed in the paperwork. The other thing we wanted to mention is there is a caveat in the contract that if for some reason there is anything that happens to the animals, whether it's disease, whether it's a storm, whether it's they get hurt, that will affect the amount of milk. So herd share is basically percentage, and we basically try to go as close to like the half gallon as possible. We've never had any issues in the past where we were like, oh no, we don't have enough milk for everybody. So I don't see that as being a potential problem. That is just something in the contract that if some weird random thing happens and there's this new disease like COVID, but for sheep, that is in the contract so that we understand that, you know, we can't always control that, and so the milk amounts that you'll be receiving may fluctuate. Again, we've never had any issues with that, but that is something in there as well. Another one is that because of the way we have to provide our raw milk, you are not legally allowed to distribute or sell the milk once it's in your possession. So we milk, we have it, we give it to you, however we deliver, or you pick up, and you are not technically allowed to provide that to anyone else. So, I mean, between friends and families, you know, whatever, but when it comes to providing or giving it to anybody that you don't trust or that is just not somebody who is within kind of your family and very close friends, it's not allowed to be distributed. So that is in the agreement as well. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the breakdown of the cost. I have gotten this question a few times because there's a little bit of a misunderstanding of, well, what does it mean by a monthly upkeep fee, or I think the contract calls it a border fee. We call it an upkeep fee. You know, what's the difference between that and the herd share? So you have a one-time purchase of a herd share. That will be in your first month and not any time after that. It's just in the first month that you will be receiving milk. And then, in addition to that, the first month and onward, while you receive milk, you have a monthly upkeep fee. The monthly upkeep fee is basically like a membership. You know, you have Netflix, you have Disney Plus. It's basically that. It's just a monthly cost that you get for us bordering your sheep so we can provide you milk. The difference that was not completely clear, and I know I need to make a more of a bigger understanding of this in particular, is that the herd share, when you purchase it, it's really like a security deposit. If you've ever rented a place, you know, you've put a deposit down, and then when you leave, you get that deposit back. Unless there's some weird thing that happened and you destroyed something, you know, then you'd have to pay for the repairs. But for ours, you basically purchase the herd share, and then whenever you decide or feel like you need to leave the herd share, we purchase that back. So, you know, So for us, one herd share is half a gallon of sheep's milk a week, and that's $40 a month. So the breakdown would be, if you were to buy one share, the first month would be $80. It's $40 for the herd share cost, and then $40 for the upkeep fee for the first month. Second month and onward, it's just the $40. And then if you ever choose to leave the herd share, then we purchase that herd share back and you get the $40 back. We do have a part in the contract that it's a 30-day notification that allows us time to purchase it back, as well as find somebody else to kind of take your place when you leave. So that is kind of the cost and the intro into the herd share. And I walk you through this through our onboarding process. Our sheep, our first group of sheep, will be lambing at the end of March. I think their due date is March 28th. And then there's a few weeks of the mom still producing some colostrum, which is that initial milk that the babies need. So we don't provide milk probably the first week or two after the moms have given birth. And then from that point on, we do provide milk for everybody. And so that's where, like, even if we have sheep immediately, or sheep on like March 28th or before, you probably won't be receiving milk until another week or two after that, because we need to give the moms and the babies time to just acclimate to each other and kind of get really strong and healthy. So what that means is a lot of the precursor paperwork I will be getting started in March. Anyone absolutely interested in the herd shares and don't want to wait to try some sheep's milk, that's the best time to sign up. It is kind of first come, first serve. We only have a certain number of herd shares available. So March will be when we let everybody know, okay, this is the time when it's open and everyone can purchase. Or, whoever wants to purchase can, and we'll get the paperwork started so that the minute we have milk that we can provide to you, you can get some. Anyone who wants to wait till after the lambs and maybe comes to do some lamb cuddles, we're hoping to get some events where we can have people come and cuddle some of our lambs. If you want to come on those days and try our pet food, that's perfectly fine too. We just can't guarantee that that we would have herd shares available. And it also doesn't guarantee that that we'll have pet food either. The more herd shares we have and the more people who take up the milk, like in March, we don't know how much we'll have available in April. So just wanted to kind of throw that out there. Let me make sure that I said everything I wanted to say. Okay, that's the one thing I didn't mention yet, is our labor agreement. So this goes back to the legality of it. We are not legally allowed to sell any products that we make with our raw sheep's milk. What we do is what's called a labor agreement. So it's another paperwork that you sign that basically says, here is the product, here's the cost of the product, and then you are paying me for the labor costs, not the actual product itself. So for instance, you have a herd share and 1 week you want to take the half gallon and ask me to make some ricotta cheese for you. I take the half gallon for that week, I turn it into ricotta, and you pay me for the labor involved in making it. So depending on the weight, because I think cheeses are by ounces. So our costs are usually like 6 ounces equals this, and then it kind of is like, well, we'll weigh how much your milk made, and then you pay the cost. Same with ice cream. You say, okay, I want half a gallon of ice cream, And so we take the half gallon, we make the ice cream, and you pay by the certain ounces. But you do get the whole amount that the half gallon would have made. One of the things that we do want to talk about for the labor agreement is that depending on time and how many people are in our herd shares, I will not be able to provide every single product all at the same time. It's just not feasible for me to be making one family ricotta cheese, another family ice cream, and another family yogurt, another family. It's just per week, that's a lot. So what we do is usually we will pick a date or two of that week, which might be a pickup day, might be another day. Probably we'll just pick by week. So if that's the week that you're going to come pick up, doesn't really matter if you're coming like Thursday or Friday. That's our cheese week, basically. And that way, so there'll be a pre-order so that I have time to make it. You'll pre-order what you'd like, half gallon, gallon, whatever that you want made, and then you'll give me about a week or two to make it and make it for you, and then you'll pick it up on whichever date we choose as the pickup date for those special items. If anyone is interested in learning how to make cheese or ice cream or any of that, let me know. We don't, as of now, have any classes available or planned. But if we hear back that, yeah, you know what, we keep picking up cheese, we love it, or, milk, we love the cheese, I know you're not going to have it for this month, you're going to do a class. That might be something that is available depending on interest and timing on everything. I'm just going to go down and make sure there's no questions. Okay, cool. If you have any questions, please put them below. I'll be happy to share any of them. If any of you guys want to know a little bit more specifically the herd shares, you can email me at youandmehomestead.creamery. I can give you a sample of what the herd share contracts look like, and then answer any questions that you have. As well as walk you through in March what the process is. The other thing I did not mention, I didn't see it in my notes, but I wanted to add it, is that on top of the herd share and monthly fee, there's also I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a container fee. So I believe it's $4 every month for to help support the plastic containers that we're going to be providing. Last year we did glass, and it was a one-time purchase. You got 5 jars, and we did it like a rotational thing. You picked up 2 glasses, you brought 2 glasses back. We found that was a little bit hard to keep track, and it also put a lot of pressure on you guys to clean the jars and return them, and to remember to return them. So we just decided that this month, or this season, we are going to do plastic containers so that you're not required to bring them back. But because we're doing that, then it's a $4 extra a month. So if you have one herd share and it's a $40 a month cost, it'll be $44, and then that will be half a gallon of sheep's milk every week. Hope that covered everything. I didn't go as long as I thought I would, so I'm either talking really fast or it just didn't cover as much as I want, because we covered, the amount I covered didn't last as long as I thought. I think because this is a little bit less feelings and understanding, it's more, this is a solid how this works. I think we went through it a lot faster. But thank you all for joining me. Again, the email, if you guys have any questions, is youandmehomestead.creamery@gmail.com. And don't want to confuse anybody, the U is EWE. That is the term for a female sheep. And so that's why it's You and Me Creamery. youandmehomestead.creamery, but You and Me Creamery is the name. And again, if you have any questions, if you want to purchase milk, if you want to get on our notifications list for March for when we let everyone know that the herd shares are available. That's the best way to contact me. You can also DM me, message me. There's many ways to get a hold of me if you are interested or have any questions. And I hope you guys have a beautiful, lovely Wednesday and that the weather warms up a little so that we can start having little babies and have some fresh milk. It's gonna be here before I know it, and I'm very excited, and I'm really happy to see you guys and meet you guys in person. So have a great one, guys, and stay warm.